expert here, we need a suggestion of something that you would weigh it by holding it in your hand.
Rice.
Rice. So we have a rice expert. For our second expert, she's an expert in childhood fears. So what was something that really frightened you as a child? A clown expert amongst us. Thank you. And our third expert, you ever seen those old Sears Roebuck and Company catalogs in the antique store from like 1892?
No, Dad.
When I'm antiquing, I like to peruse them. And what might we find on page 302 of the 1892 Sears and Roebuck Company for sale?
Beer tap.
Say again?
A beer tap.
A beer tap, yes, an 1892 beer tap. And, we'll call them antique beer taps.
Antique
Beer taps. So I'm going to let our experts introduce themselves to you, and then we'll start with the questions. So please, first.
Hello. My name is Jasmine Wild Grain Basmati. Been studying rice for approximately 30 minutes on a low heat. And I think I know what I need to know.
I'm Bubbles.
Hi, I'm Samuel Adams, 1892 tap inventor, also an expert. I know a lot about beer.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. So let's get the questions started. So from this part of the room, we'll just kind of go around, but does anyone on this part of the room have a really, really deep question you've been wrestling with? Maybe a life decision you need to make, something like that?
Should a husband wear his wedding ring when he's out in public?
Whoa.
That's a very good question.
That seems very specific to one player.
So should a husband wear his wedding ring when he's out in public? And you know what? For this one, let's start off with Mr. Adams.
Well, should a man wear his wedding ring in public? And I say it depends. Because, as an expert in beer, I can always tell you, like a good marriage, a good beer always has a little bit of head. I just say if you get a flat beer at the homestead, just slide the ring off. You gotta put her on nose a little bit, and when she gets her oral game back on.
There are two types of rice in the world. There's natural, whole grain, good for you rice. And you eat that when you want to be healthy, right? You want to have a good time, you want to be boring, I mean, you get natural rice. And then on the other hand, there's some wild grain rice. You season a little bit. You maybe season it with like 3 shots and a night out. And see what happens when you're finished cooking. Maybe 9 months later you have a fresh batch of wild rice. Or maybe 3 months in you decided to like pull it out the oven.
All right, we'll come to this side of the room now. Do you have any really questions that have been bothering you maybe your whole life? Existential type questions, something you really need some deep insight into. Yes?
How do you actually forgive somebody?
I think we could all benefit from this answer. How do you actually forgive someone? Let's start this time with Bubbles. Other experts have anything to add to that?
I can. When you're making rice at home, it's important that you don't forget about the rice. If you're making your rice, you put your water in the rice, you put your time, your love, your commitment, your different spices, a dedication of reading different recipes online from Food Network and whatnot to making a good rice. Hours of watching fucking Barefoot Contessa and Pioneer Woman who doesn't even cook rice, but you want to find out what southern spices are, so you decide to watch all those shows and you put it into that rice. And then you forget about that rice. That rice still gets burnt. So the question, nay, the answer, is that you do not forget about the rice, but you do forgive the poor seasoning that Pioneer Woman recommended.
How do you really forgive someone? Well, I go back to my beer making roots. Any good beer needs to ferment. We know what that means when it comes similar to love in the home. Sometimes your wife makes you angry, and the only way to make things right is to ferment. Your seed inside of her. That's how you forgive.
Now we'll hit here, the middle, now come to the extreme, your right side of the room. Sometimes there's things that some of us just can't wrap our minds around. Those Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein type questions we have in life. So over here, certainly something has been eating at someone on this side of the room, some complex concept or issue that you just can't wrap your mind around.
How do you get rid of an evil coworker?
I would benefit from this myself. How do you get rid of an evil coworker?
Rice is one letter away from ricin'.
Yes.
How do you get away from an evil coworker? I go back to my beer making roots.